Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to talk about a huge shift in how we make sure our data is actually reliable. In this world of crazy, complex data pipelines, how do we get from a place where we're constantly second-guessing our analytics to a place where we can actually trust them? Well, the answer might just lie in a new kind of AI.
All right, let's dive right in. And to do that, we first have to talk about the core issue that, let's be honest, pretty much every data team is wrestling with right now. It's a problem I'm willing to bet you'll find very familiar.
So, does this question hit a little too close to home? That sinking feeling of chasing down errors, getting those late-night alerts about a broken dashboard, or even worse, having a key business user question your numbers in a meeting? This constant battle, it's just a huge source of friction and a major roadblock to getting anything done. And this slide, wow, it just lays out the two different worlds we're living in, doesn't it? Over on the left, you've got the old way. It's slow, it's manual, and it's always reactive. It's just a nonstop cycle of firefighting. But on the right, that's where we want to be. Automated trust, pipelines that don't break all the time, and actually preventing problems before they start. The real question is, how do we get from the left side to the right side? Well, here's the thing. The problem is that our old tools just weren't built for the kind of complexity we're dealing with today. Manual checks, they're impossible once you have any real scale. And those SQL scripts we all write, they're so brittle they break the second a schema changes. And yeah, observability tools are useful, but they often just tell you about a fire after the house is already burned down. All of these gaps create the very distrust we're trying so hard to get rid of. So this brings us to a real turning point. We're not just talking about slightly better automation here. No, we are talking about a fundamentally different way of thinking about this problem. Let's dig into the shift to what are called agentic systems. This quote from the source material really nails the core of this change. And the most important word there, it's partner. Think about that. Instead of some static tool that you just command and control, Agentic AI actually works alongside your team. It learns, it adapts, and it helps you get to that trusted data quality. So what in the world is Agentic AI? Well, in a nutshell, it's an AI that has agency. It doesn't just sit around waiting to be told what to do. It autonomously generates its own tests, it spots weird anomalies that a human might totally miss, and it can even self-heal parts of a pipeline, all without needing you to constantly look over its shoulder. And this really breaks it down into 4 key pillars that make it all work. First, it's autonomous, which means it's writing its own tests without you scripting them. It's adaptive, so when your data sources change, it changes right along with them. It's proactive, which means it's catching problems early. And this one's huge, it's unifying, looking at the entire data journey, from the raw data coming in all the way to that final BI report. Okay, that all sounds great in theory, right? But how does any of this actually work in the real world? Let's break down the core capabilities that make Agentic AI a real practical thing, and let's focus on how it solves some of the biggest headaches in data validation. Let's start with a pain point I think we all know way too well. Just the act of writing the tests to validate your data, it's a massive bottleneck. It's slow, it's tedious, and it almost always falls behind the actual pace of development. So the first 2 capabilities just tackle this problem head on. The system can literally auto-generate test cases for you, right from your mapping documents or your ETL code. Now, this not only makes things dramatically faster, but it also expands your test coverage to validate the whole journey, from the very first pipeline all the way to those final BI dashboards that your execs are looking at. And the value this delivers, it's huge. Your team gets to spend way less time writing boilerplate scripts and more time on high-value analysis. Your sprints actually move faster, you get rid of those scary blind spots in your testing, and you start building real trust across the entire data lifecycle. All right, on to the next challenge. A test fails. Now what? You know how this goes. Traditionally, debugging needs that one deep expert who understands the whole pipeline, and just tracking down the root cause can take hours, or let's be real, sometimes days. And this is where smarter debugging comes into play. The AI gives you plain English explanations of why a test failed, and it pinpoints the root cause for you. You combine that with super fast, optimized test execution, and it means you can run really comprehensive tests all the time without slowing down your development pipeline. So what's the end result? Your debugging cycles just collapse. Seriously, even junior folks on your team can start resolving issues that used to require a senior engineer.
You can build robust, continuous testing right into your CI/CD process, your automated delivery pipeline, without it becoming a bottleneck for new releases. Now, for what I think is the biggest challenge of all, just being reactive all the time. Most data quality systems are kind of like smoke detectors, right? They only go off when there's already a fire, when a report is already broken, and maybe a critical business decision has already been impacted by bad data. Okay, and this for me is where Agentic AI becomes a true game changer. It uses predictive intelligence, analyzing historical patterns to actually anticipate anomalies before they turn into critical failures. It can spot that subtle data drift and suggest new quality rules to prevent defects from ever even reaching your end users. And just look at this chart. It's simple, but it tells the whole story. The AI basically learns what a normal range for your data looks like, and the moment a metric drifts outside that range, even by a little bit, boom, it gets flagged as an anomaly. This is how you finally move from reactive firefighting to proactive prevention, catching issues when they are small and easy to fix. So when you start putting all these capabilities together, you end up with something that is so much more than just faster automation. You get a system that provides genuine intelligence. And this is the shift that lets a data team go from being a support function to being a real strategic driver for the business. And look, this isn't just theory. The source material points to a massive, tangible impact. For companies that are modernizing their data stack, using this approach led to a 60% reduction in the time it takes to test their data migrations. Think about that. That frees up just countless hours of engineering effort. So what really makes this approach different? It's the combination of everything you see here. It's not just for engineers. With a low-code experience and a business-friendly catalog, it makes data quality accessible to everybody. It doesn't just look at ETL or BI separately. It validates across both. And it really elevates the developer experience with things like intelligent SQL assistants, turning the AI into a true collaborator. But the journey doesn't stop here. I mean, the very nature of this kind of technology is that it's always evolving, always getting smarter. So let's take a quick peek at what's on the horizon. You can see from the roadmap here that the goal is to make the system even more autonomous and even more collaborative. I mean, we're going from creating BI tests directly from usage logs all the way to a full AI Copilot that can guide users and recommend fixes. The vision is clearly a system that just gets smarter and more helpful over time. And that really brings us to our final thought. As you think about your own data operations, just ask yourself this one question. Is your validation process a true, proactive partner that actually builds trust, or is it just another roadblock that's slowing you down? The shift to agentic systems really suggests it can be, and it absolutely should be, the former. Thanks so much for watching.
For further questions, feel free to reach contact@datagaps.com. Scan the below QR code for free demo. Thank you.